Did that.
Forbes is the only street that isn't straight. You go down and you turn this way, then you turn back this way and come to the end. It's only
Dome Street,
Dome is straight.
yeah, that's the first one, is I coming down from.
No, Melody.
Melody is the first one. Well, the one that I go down on the.
Melody, then it's Dome.
Oh, you can pay a I go by turn on.
Okay. I'm calling the Planning and Zoning meeting to order for the March 18th meeting. We have several issues to consider. There's some rules that I want to set out for the public statements. The use of cellular telephones is not permitted, and such telephones should be turned off or otherwise silenced. Speaking to the Planning and Zoning Commission, clearly state your name and address. Please keep your remarks pertinent to the issue being considered. Please do not repeat the same statements that were made by a previous speaker. Please speak to the Planning and Zoning Commission as you would like to be spoken to. Please do not address other applicants or other audience members directly. And please make your comments at the podium and directed to the Planning and Zoning. So you come to the front here. Okay, our first order of business would be to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Davis.
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Bates. All in favor, thumbs up or thumbs down?
All members voting aye, the motion passes.
Now we'll go into the public hearing section of our meeting. We don't have just a simple majority to approve something. It takes 4 votes. Everybody's here, so this should go fairly easily for everybody. The first, The first public hearing is PLN 20-022. Does the staff have a report?
And I'd like to declare a
Okay.
conflict of interest and leave the room before
Okay.
you get started on it.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I forgot about that already. Short-term memory.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would note that this is a case that was tabled back in June of 2020, and so I'm not going to go through the previous staff report, but I will just go through a simplified staff report for this meeting. Staff's recommendation in this case is that the Planning and Zoning Commission remove the case from the table for consideration and provide a recommendation to the City Council on the requested removal of land use restrictions in the subdivision agreement. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted to table PLN 2022 on June 18th, 2020 in order to provide the applicant an opportunity to do neighborhood outreach to discuss their plans for the property with the surrounding neighborhood. The applicant requested that the case move forward at the March Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Staff has not been informed of what, if any, neighborhood outreach has occurred. In that the case was tabled, staff is providing the identical packet and staff report that were originally presented to the Commission. In addition, staff generated an updated property owner list for notification of the neighbors within 300 feet of the subject property and has received additional materials that are now being included. Finally, the applicant has provided additional correspondence that was not included during the first review. Madam Chair, I have 18 exhibits to enter into the record. A is a letter requesting the amendment from True Land Realty LLC and Wyoming Orthopedic Institute LLC. B is the map of the 300-foot notification zone. C, legal notice sent to the Star Tribune. D, notice of public hearing sent to property owners within 300 feet. E, public comment from 1408 Heathrow Avenue. F, public comment from 1420 Heathrow Avenue. G, public comment from 1426 Heathrow. H, public comment from 1414 Heathrow. I, public comment from 1432 Heathrow. J, public comment from Russell Farrow on behalf of 32 members of the Stafford Square Homeowners Association. K, public comment from 4047 East 14th. L, public comment from 1414 Heathrow. M, letter from Deb Clark, Mountain West Valuation, provided by the applicant. N, email from Marty Hanson, Rudd Agency Appraisals, provided by the applicant. O, email from 1420 Heathrow Avenue. P, public comment from 1408 Heathrow. Q, memo to the chairman and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And finally, R, public comment from 4117 Stafford Court. And that concludes staff's abbreviated report, and we'll answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you. First, we probably should make a motion to remove this case from the table for consideration.
That's what I was gonna, that's why I raised my hand.
Okay,
I'd like to remove this from the table. I mean,
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Wingeter to remove this from the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner McIntosh. All in favor signify by thumbs up or thumbs down, whichever.
All members voting aye, the motion passes.
Okay, so are there any questions for the staff? I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of case PLN 20-022. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, the rules of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who address the commission to approach the lectern, identify yourself, and state your address. Would the person or persons representing case PLN 20-022 come forward and explain the application?
Good evening, Madam Chairperson and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Martin Axland. I'm the Real Estate and Property Director for True Land and Realty. As owner and developer of the Compass, we are here tonight to ask for your consideration and approval in releasing the Topol addition from the conditional zoning restrictions currently enacted on the property. We began this process last May, but ended up tabling our request in order to better communicate with our surrounding homeowners. We felt a key component to this communication would be the completion of the project, showing the community our dedication to developing high-quality properties. Since then, we've opened a state-of-the-art bank location. We've partnered with several local entrepreneurs to open new businesses to expand or expand their already successful ones. We've developed a beautiful site that includes 45 trees, 268 shrubs, 198 ornamental grasses, and 116 perennials. We now have the opportunity to partner with a local business owner who would like to open a boutique wine and liquor store to serve that area. This business would fit our model for a high-end tenant. However, the current restrictions do not allow us to move forward with this opportunity. In preparation for today's meeting, I've spoken to the president of the neighboring homeowners association to share our vision for the Compass and our intentions for today. Due to many of the HOA members being out of town for the winter, I was not able to present to the group in person, but based on feedback from the HOA president, I sent an email detailing our request and our intentions for today. I offered to answer any questions they may have about our plans and goals, but I've not heard back from any of the HOA members at this time. But we do look forward to meeting with the homeowners in the future and discussing our continued partnership. Through this process, we do know that a few residents have expressed concerns over declining home prices in the area due to our development. In your packet today, I've included 2 letters from Casper appraisers giving their impression on home values in the surrounding neighborhoods around the Compass. These letters show that property values have remained steady and that our development has had no negative impacts on property values. The Compass is intended to be a vibrant, dynamic, and community-driven gathering place. We've heard tremendous amounts of support from area residents for a boutique wine and liquor store, and I've brought with me tonight a handful of letters supporting our effort to remove these conditional zoning restrictions. Our hope for today is that you will approve our request and allow the Topol addition to be treated like any other C2 zone property in Casper. I'd like to thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have with my remaining time. And I'd like to give you these additional letters of support.
E. Craig.
I should have copies for everybody. So I'm open to any questions you may have.
Commissioner Wingeter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, do you have any idea, it might be a little early, but do you have any idea what kind of businesses maybe you said it's kind of hard to hear that glass.
Yes. So we, in this case, the buildings are already built, and we have a tenant, a specific tenant that has expressed interest in moving into one of our buildings. They are a boutique wine and liquor store, but because of the current restrictions, they aren't able to move in or become a tenant at this time. So we would like the restrictions removed to allow this tenant the opportunity.
You did say, I'm sorry, a liquor store, but it's not going to be a bar, is it?
A boutique wine and liquor store, so it would not be a bar.
So, okay, so it's just a packaged liquor?
It would be a higher end. I printed out a definition that
Yeah,
with potential tenant. It would be again, a boutique wine and liquor store located in upscale areas and cater to higher end clientele. They will be like a gourmet specialty shop with focus on fine wines, craft and imported beers, and small batch liquors.
okay, and another question, if I may.
Yes.
Are you planning on, and maybe this comes later, Mr. Planner, are you planning on digging into the side of the hill, or is this going to go on top of it?
All the construction's already been completed. The building's already built.
Oh, okay,
So this would just be a tenant in an existing building.
okay, so that's, okay, I understand.
So we just have a high-end tenant that we'd like to bring into the development.
Okay. So am I getting, Mr. Planner, am I getting the two mixed up? He's talking about the building's already built. We're not talking about the future development.
Madam Chair, this covers the 3 lots that are shown. The subdivision agreement covers all of them. Mr. Axland's property is the one farthest to the left towards the top, but there is another developable lot down the triangle-shaped lot at the bottom that's also impacted by this.
Okay, thank you.
But that's not our lot.
So you're talking about, excuse me, you're talking about the lot where the new drive-in bank is, that major area there. And you're also talking about where they've already got the Casper Orthopedics, is that right?
Well, we're talking about where the bank is and where Metro Coffee is and where Empower Chiropractic is.
So the other corner lot there is not owned by you and not involved in this at all?
I understand.
So it's not the one directly impacting the houses on Heathrow?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to point out that the subdivision agreement that we would change would also remove those restrictions from all 3.
So unless,
So Mr. Axland is not representing the other property owner, but there is another property owner.
that would be affected by this?
Correct.
Casper Orthopedic did give us the opportunity to have this meeting today, and that's what initiated this request, but our request is for the company's development.
I have a question.
Commissioner Davis?
As a planner, this includes the entire section that is developed and it's undeveloped land, correct?
Correct, it's both.
For your agreements are for the whole subdivision.
Correct.
So this would affect everything.
All of that area shown on the map right now. Correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bates?
Is there just 1 or 2 restrictions? Is there many restrictions? And I guess my question is, why is the restrictions for that area there when it sounds like, if I'm right, the rest of it is a C2, right? Within the area?
C1 and
Or
C2.
C1 and C2. So why is there restrictions for that area?
At the time that it was initially planned for development back in the late 90s, the neighborhood was very concerned about, I believe, the mini mart that exists up there on the corner. That was a very controversial project. In response to that, the council imposed additional land use restrictions through the subdivision agreement beyond what zoning already allowed. So they tried to create, call it special zoning, I believe is what the subdivision agreement refers to it as. So it was an attempt to, I think, allow the development to go forward and also alleviate some of the neighbors' concerns about potential objectionable uses in that area in proximity to their homes.
Okay. And just to clarify, you said that that agreement was back in the 90s?
Correct. 1999 is when the subdivision agreement was executed that initiated those restrictions.
Okay.
So,
Madam Chairman, I have one other question, if I may.
would you, Commissioner Davis, would you turn on your microphone so we can hear you better? Thank you.
I have a question maybe for the planner or the attorney. When the original was completed and zoned, did we some more infringe upon the theory of contract zoning?
Madam Chair, I'm going to ask Wallace to address that because that is something that we've discussed internally.
Wallace, would you please address the question from Commissioner Davis?
Yes, Madam Chairman, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today. So this is really an interesting political solution back in 1999. It appears from the little bit of record that I can find about what was happening at the time that the developer was sort of stuck. It was unlikely that the subdivision agreement would pass council if the neighbors' concerns were not addressed. So they came up with a novel solution because under Wyoming Statute 15-1-601C, the regulations can differ one district to another. So C1, for example, R1, they can differ between those two things. But they're supposed to be uniform for each class of building or land type within a district so that everyone who has a C1 property or an R1 property can do the same thing. Well, if they tried to impose the conditions while zoning it as a C1 or C2 or however it was zoned at the time, that would be illegal spot zoning. And so that wasn't acceptable at the time. So what appears to have happened instead is they built the restrictions into the subdivision agreement. Are those restrictions valid or not? Well, that would be a case of first impression in the Wyoming Supreme Court. On one hand, you could argue that the field has been preempted by the statute, that all the districts are supposed to be uniform, and so any agreement made between the parties would be invalid. On the other hand, you could legitimately argue that this was not in fact a regulation, it was a contract between parties to reach a political solution and a reasonable accommodation, and that the parties relied on that, knew what they were doing when they entered into it, and should be stopped from claiming that the contract is not valid when each party received consideration for it. So there's a real novel question about whether that subdivision, those agreements are in fact enforceable or not. It would be a case of first impression in front of the Wyoming Supreme Court. So the best advice that I can give you is to follow what you think is just and fair based on what you hear today, and then we'll see where it goes from there. There's just no bright line law on whether those subdivision regulations will actually stand or not.
Thank you. Commissioner Bates?
You sure? So if you don't mind me asking, you said you have tried to reach out to a few. Has there been any negative comments about what you're wanting?
So I've spoken to the president of the homeowners association, who then helped me reach out to all of the HOA members, but I did not hear any feedback from them.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to point out the area Mr. Axelon's talking about would be at the top of the picture. I believe that's the homeowner association. The letters we received are mostly from Heathrow, which would be down by the pointed parcel at the bottom.
And that parcel on the bottom is Lot 2, is that correct?
I don't have the plat here in front of me, but let me find that out.
It looks to be part of,
I can't tell you right now without.
so according to the information that we have in our staff report, Lot 1 is Zone C2, and Lot 2 is Zone C1.
Correct.
So what they're wanting to do is change both of the zones to C2 and remove the restrictions?
That's a good clarifying question that I think Mr. Axel needs to clarify for us all, because the entire subdivision was required to apply to agree to the change, but I'm not clear whether they're asking for all land use restrictions in the subdivision agreement, which would include C1 and C2 to be removed, or just Mr. Axel's lot, which is the C2 lot.
Okay.
What we have here is the subdivision agreement, talking about the C2 general business limited with increased rear back setbacks, with a limited set of opportunities for us, compared to the standard C2 zoning that lists 50 different land uses, where our current subdivision agreement lists 17 uses.
So you're not applying to change the zoning on Lot 2 to C, from C1 at all, or change any of the restrictions on Lot 1, or Lot 2, only on Lot 1?
Yes.
The one where the buildings are already built?
Yes, ma'am.
So the one that is sitting empty, there's you don't want to change that at all?
That's not ours, no, no, ma'am.
That's a great clarifying question. Like I said, both property owners signed off on it, so I guess it was unclear as to which exactly. The way it was explained, the way I understood it, was that all restrictions would go away. That was C1 and C2. So if that's incorrect, then I apologize.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Winger?
Lot 1 is already built.
Yes.
So that's a minimal strip center. Yes, sir. Okay, okay. So it's already built, and you have a coffee and insurance and what else do you have?
There is a coffee shop, a bank location, Hilltop Bank.
Yeah, the bank.
We have a new chiropractor that has started a business, and then we have an opportunity that for one of the other businesses, plus we haven't signed that lease yet, but the boutique wine and liquor store would be the fourth thing.
Sure.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Thank you. As required by state law, we have to invite people to comment in favor or in opposition to all public hearings. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of case PLN 20-022?
Madam Chair, committee members, I'm Chris Bradfield and I reside at 1800 Elkhorn Valley Drive. I know you guys have a full agenda, so I'll try to be efficient. We as a community, I think, are lucky to have private investment improving our city. Makes better quality of life and increases property and sales tax base. The new Delta Addition subdivision, which you guys are talking about, those 3 lots, now includes the retail center you've talked about at the high traffic intersection. And I don't see land use restrictions for, I think you are talking about all 3 of those. I think Mr. Collins is correct that if you tell the council that you would like this approved, that you would take away the restrictions on all 3 of those pieces. The 2 to the east are Wyman Orthopedic or Casper Orthopedic, so that's probably not too much of a concern. But the Compass at Centennial Hills, I don't think benefits from having the restrictions. I think it should be recommended that you give a due pass to the council to remove the restrictions. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions from commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience, any additional people in the audience wishing to speak in favor of PLN 20-022? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to case PLN 20-022? Just a few. Keep in mind that one of the things we want to do, if somebody's already made the point, let's not double up on it, and we can just get started with the, yep, let's start with you.
My name is John Newroth. I live at 1414 Heathrow. Hello, everybody. I bought you want this paper? Yes, please. I knew you had it. Yes. I put it up, but nobody went for it. I bought the property I own in 2001, and I was given this agreement, and it says they cannot. It says specifically what can be done on that little piece of property we're talking about. I don't care if they do a liquor store. Does anybody mind a liquor store in that strip mall? No. They don't want a liquor store. That's something, I don't care about the liquor store there. And I thought they had the right to put it in there. But the property we're talking about, that little corner there, it's a separate specifications. And I bought my property under them codes, okay? If they're gonna change that, what else can be done? Can I go commercial on my property? That's where I'm at on it.
Could always try. You could always try. I doubt that it would go, but.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense than letting them do this, because that wasn't how it was sold originally. So, I imagine that's kind of what some of these other folks are gonna say, but, maybe they got some way better to explain it than that, but that's pretty much it. It's on paper right here. I'm sure you guys have it. Now, this guy, the first guy that talked, that said he didn't want to do nothing with that, that's not what we were told. Okay?
Okay,
They lift all restrictions. That could be a truck stop, casino, anything they want. In the original paper, the original document, the property he's talking about, it says they can put in liquor stores there.
well, it says a
Massage parlors. It says they can do that.
restaurant with liquor service.
And it said, read the whole thing, it says.
Well, if you're gonna do the new one, yes. If they're gonna lift the restrictions, they could
Right.
do that, yes.
And so, not behind my house, okay? Or I would have never bought the property. Terry, you don't live far from there. You want a liquor store and massage parlor behind your place?
Don't answer that, Terry.
That was my answer.
You do, oh, that, whatever you're into. So, that's what I gotta say about it.
I do have well, I can't. Public first. I'm sorry.
Hi, my name's Ryan Rivera. I live at 1432 Heathrow. I have three kind of major concerns with this. So the first off is if you lift these restrictions, right now the restrictions are prohibiting adult video stores, adult bookstores, liquor stores, tattoo parlors, massage parlors, that type of body piercing. That would be within 550 yards of a junior high school and 700 yards from a elementary school. None of those businesses, I feel, should be in that proximity to young, impressionable children. Okay, I can say from personal experience, growing up from or within walking distance of a liquor store, we regularly had drunk individuals, intoxicated individuals that would pass out on our yard, break into our camper, try to go in our house without permission, thinking it was theirs. It will pose a risk, and you can call it a boutique. It's a liquor store, right? So my second big issue is obviously the property value that those type of businesses could go in, could affect our property value, right? So we all invested in that area because it's a nice area, a good area to raise our children in, and as far as our financial investment, we are trying to protect that. My third issue is the fact that let's see, it was section 2.1, section M, restricts them from having a drive-through, which they have already done, right? So they have already disregarded this as a restriction.
Excuse me, there's an amendment to that agreement that allowed that drive-up service back in 2018. So that was allowed back in 2018.
Okay, well, the one that my wife just got from the title company was different, so. So I guess the third one is kind of null and void. Thank you for answering that question. But are there any questions you have for me?
Does the commissioner have, yes, Commissioner Bates?
Kind of comment and a question for you, if you'll bear with me for a minute. The council has approved, as far as massage and tattoo, they have put restrictions and laws into effect to make it legitimate, actual good businesses, not just anyone can open up anything and have whatever they want there. But my question to you is, you stated that businesses like those don't belong in neighborhoods around that area, that close to schools. So I guess my question, with as many schools as we got, where does those businesses belong then within the city of Casper?
That's a great question that I don't have an answer to, I guess. I haven't dove into other locations for them.
Because, I mean, I'm not a tattoo person. I don't drink or anything like that. I don't like the taste of alcohol at all. And I don't do piercings. I don't do tattoos. So, however, there are some very artistic people and really great massage people and people that run liquor stores in a very professional manner that I don't see a problem with them being in a neighborhood of that sort. Me personally, even in where I live, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Now that's me, but I guess that's just where I'm kind of coming from is businesses like that don't belong in a neighborhood like that. I guess I'm just wondering what neighborhood they're allowed to be in then, especially the professional ones. Wine and Spirits on Poplar Street. Fantastic, very elegant place. I don't see why that would be an issue in a little mall like that. So I'm asking because you're the homeowner. I don't live in that section, so.
I agree, and I guess some of the nervousness is the uncertainty, right? It could be a very tasteful, well-done establishment, or it could be something that attracts a lower-end individual, I should say. But again, I guess my big issue with the liquor store and like that, and maybe this one is outdated because it also would allow for adult video and adult bookstores. Like, I don't know about you, there's no way I can envision a tasteful adult bookstore going in there, or in a tasteful adult video store.
Right.
Right, but as far as the liquor store, like I said, I have personal experience growing up near, very similar to that Wine and Spirits. And yeah, driving past, you don't really notice, but I know that when I grew up, different town, but within walking distance, was it every day? No. But was it some part of my childhood that I remember? Yeah, and obviously we try and create a better childhood for our children than we have.
Okay. My last one is, and maybe I'm going too far with it, but, you know, you have keg and courts not too far away. I guess in that area or areas on the east side in that section, have you personally seen negative behavior regarding a liquor store, possibly any the liquor stores around that entire section? Have you seen the negativity in that area?
Well, no, but Cake and Cork is more of a restaurant.
Right.
Which would be allowed under right? They can have a restaurant with a liquor license. So, have I seen the negative? No, but the Kagan Cork is considerably further away than 500 yards.
And you are right.
So I'd say within walking distance, I personally am probably not gonna walk to Kagan Cork, right? But to have 500 yards from a junior high seems just a little close, in my opinion.
Okay.
But, any other questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
Yes, I
Reader.
was wondering, I counted the businesses up in that little area today, because I go right by there, and I counted 25 businesses in that, you know, behind the Mini Mart, or Loaf and Jug, and the Hilltop Bank, and whatever. And I was wondering, are there any of those businesses, if they would have started up today and came before us for permission to put their businesses, is there any of those businesses that you would object to? Of those 25 businesses? Besides this proposed,
Other than Domino's, because of my gut, no.
yeah, no, I was,
No, of the ones there, personally, I don't oppose to them. And honestly, I don't even oppose to the drive-through. I just thought it was something that was still on
yeah.
there.
I'll tell you why I mentioned this. I was on the city council way back in the late 80s and early 90s, when they put that Mini Mart in. At the time, it was called Mini Mart, now it's called Loaf and Jug. And there was so much protest. There was, people were signing all kinds of papers against it, you know. Well, anyway, across the street, they were even griping across the street. They were afraid the lights was gonna get in the backyards and all that. Now, everybody trades there. And same with Aspen Apartments, those are over by the mall. Everybody ejected those Aspen Apartments. That was supposed to be a low-income apartment project. And they have the nicest landscape. I'm just saying, everybody's afraid of something new a lot of times. But once they get used to it, it's not all that bad.
Well, and I think part of it was also discussed almost amongst you guys, where there's been so much confusion about, is it lot 1, is it lot 2? On the diagram, it doesn't even look like that triangle piece is part of lot 2, and is it this, is it that? And part of it is the vagueness that has been portrayed. Like, they said they were gonna do some community outreach. Reaching out to just the HOA, to me, isn't reaching out to the community. I heard nothing from them. We had to go and find all this information ourselves, because all they sent out was, we want to lift restrictions 2.1, 2.2. Okay, what are those?
Yeah.
Right, and some of those deal with height restrictions, right? So some of us are nervous, okay, if they lift all the restrictions, can they build, 5-story apartment behind my house, and that will tank my value, right? So some of it is just that uncertainty that has not been communicated by the developer. So.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm just saying.
But, no, I agree, and that's what I've already said as well, is that you can do some of this very tastefully, and some of it not.
Knowing the company that's, that owns all this, the development, knowing that company, they're very well respected. And I'm sure they would not allow a tenant to not be faithful to the whole neighborhood. And, it would be a clean tenant, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, in the immediate future, I would agree, because I'll be honest, my wife worked for Hilltop Bank, and we did spend some time with the Trues and the True Company, and I would agree, I view them as a very upstanding company, and from the ones I've met, a very respectable family.
Professional.
Yeah, very professional and very kind. My nervousness would be, initially, yes, but what if they sell that property and we've lifted these restrictions? Who's gonna hold the next person accountable to their standards?
That's something we don't know.
Right, exactly, but with this in place, at least it has those restrictions. It says you can't do this. You can't put in an adult bookstore. Right, would the Trues do it? I would say no, they wouldn't. But they're a business and they might need to sell this property at some point, and who says the next person that owns it won't?
Thank you.
Thank you.
One quick question for Terry.
comment about the Golden Jug or what, the mini mart there? Did they change any property, any restrictions on bordering properties when they put that place in?
You know, it's been a while ago.
Yeah.
I just remember the
Right, I
protests.
bet they didn't. Cause that, maybe they did, huh?
Is,
You know,
ex-
see where I'm
excuse me,
coming
is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to case PLN 20-022?
Yeah, this is, yeah, the guy that talked to us is only.
Hello, Madam Chair and Commissioners, how are you doing tonight? Can I take this off, is that okay?
Yes, you can take that off.
Okay, I think most has already been said, and you didn't want repeated comments. As far as the tree representative had said,
Could I get your name and address?
I apologize, yes, Lori Berger, 1426 Heathrow Avenue. Our HOA definitely has not communicated any of this to us, so I think this liquor store going in has been new information to us. I have to say, as a homeowner, not that I feel we need another liquor store in Casper, Wyoming, but I'm not opposed necessarily to the liquor store going in down below. That area is already built. My biggest concern is, if I have it correct, Lot 2, which backs up right up to Heathrow. And again, if those restrictions are lifted, what does that mean? As Ryan already indicated, what does that mean for the future and what could go in there? And again, that uncertainty that we've already talked about. So I guess my question is, can restrictions be lifted for the facility that's already there to allow things go in, but they not be lifted for the area that does back up to Heathrow moving forward? I don't know if that is a possibility or not, but at this point in time, my biggest concern is what's backed up to my fence and what could be built there. What is down below is not a concern to me. It's fine. I think one of my biggest concerns is, after living there for 11 years, how much it has developed. I think you had said, Mr. Commissioner, there's about 25 businesses there. There is an increase in traffic and noise. There has been, I think a lot of us on the block have ring systems. There's been a lot more activity in our neighborhood. I feel like businesses are taking over once peaceful communities, neighborhoods. It's kind of to the point, I mean, there's vets, there's doctor offices, eateries, banks. You don't have to go far to get much of anything, which can be nice. But again, my biggest concern is what will happen with that Lot 2 that's backed up directly to my yard. So I'll say one more time, can restrictions be lifted possibly on the facility that's already built, but they stay in place for Lot 2 and whatever's right off to the side of it? What is light pink, if I have that correctly? Okay, so those are my concerns.
And,
Okay?
and I guess, can we pose that question to staff? When we decide what to do on this, can we lift it on Lot 1 and leave it on Lot 2?
Madam Chair, I just want to clarify, first of all, this board is a recommendation to council.
Right.
Your recommendation can be whatever you think is
Okay.
the way to go on this. And if it's my understanding, the applicant has stated that his request is only for the
Lot
C2 lot. So I guess I would
Okay,
say that we could treat that as an error and leave Lot 2 out of the discussion, other than they needed to sign off as a property owner of this subdivision. So
Okay.
if they were signing off on behalf of a different property owner, then that's a different thing.
okay. Okay, so we can do that.
And that's just my,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could just interject one thing. I know the original agreement from 1999 discusses some objectionable, what they felt was objectionable land uses, and included adult video and bookstores. I just wanted to mention, because I'm not sure anybody knows, that in the early to mid 2000s, the city council addressed that with zoning in general and separated those out. Those would not be considered a retail general like it does under the agreement in 1999. Those are only allowed in very specific areas of town and really not very many. So that I just wanted to mention that, because that concern should be
Okay.
alleviated just
Thank
by
you.
that ordinance change.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to case PLN 20-022? I think they're bringing their their sheets with them.
My name's Harold Berg, live at 1438 Heathrow, and I've lived there since the development was built. And like, he asked if there was any businesses that I would like to see not be there, and there are several businesses that I'd like to see not be there. One being the credit union. They seem to want to light up the sky. You talked about lights. Yeah, they got a lot of lights, so that's a problem. The veterinary people, they don't seem to care. They let their dogs out at 7 o'clock in the morning to wake everybody up in the neighborhood. That's another one I'd like to see not there. So those two things right there are very bad, and they're right close to my house. So, and as far as a liquor store being in your neighborhood, 500 yards, 300 yards, yeah, they might not get drunk and be there every day, but I'll bet you those people over at Popular Wine and Spirits have some drunk people passing by their house, puking in their front yard, trying to break in their cars. So there is a problem with that. You don't want certain elements in your neighborhood. And where those elements can be is commercial areas. 2nd Street, there's a lot of open real estate. Why does it need to be in a residential area, 500 yards, 300 yards from our house? I don't see why that needs to be there. So, I know some of you guys think that it's a good development, and it might be good, but I don't necessarily agree with that. So, and as far as building back behind our house, not destroying our property value, come on, give me a break. Are you really? That's ridiculous. If you don't put something pretty decent up back there, yeah, our property values will go to heck real fast. So I don't agree with anything being built back there that isn't a pretty good, pretty classy piece of establishment. And I think the guidelines should not be changed at all. So, do you have any questions for me? I have pretty strong feelings about it because it's a little ridiculous that we want to bow down to somebody to destroy our neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You need my,
Yes, please.
Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to case PLN 20-022? I see no additional people wishing to speak. I would entertain a motion. Oh, do we have any?
You need in favor or against?
No, I will entertain a motion to approve and forward to council with the due pass recommendation, deny or table case PLN 20-022.
Before you do that, okay, never mind.
Do we,
Question for Greg.
do we not have discussion?
Madam Chairman,
After the motion.
Madam Chairman, I may make a motion, we approve it.
For both lots or for just,
Both lots, yeah.
for both lots? We have a motion to approve the change for both lots. Do I have a second? Do I have anybody wishing to make a different motion? Commissioner Bates,
I make a motion for just the one lot.
for lot 1.
I'll second that.
We have a second with Commissioner Wingerter. Do we have to remove his motion from the table, from the floor table?
No, Madam Chairman, you do not. It failed for lack
For lack of second. Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the change for Lot 1 and forward a due pass recommendation to City Council and to not change Lot 2.
I have a question for the,
And now we're going to discuss it, okay? Commissioner Wingerter.
Did somebody second that, Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Wingerter seconded that.
Mr. Collins, is there such a thing in the city, it's been a while, conditional use permit? What I'm trying to say is, if there's any trouble in that, if the liquor store was to, if this thing was to pass, is this up to the city council, or can we recommend a conditional use permit type thing? If there's trouble over there, it's automatically, you know.
Madam Chair, yes, there are permitted uses in every zoning district and conditional uses in every zoning district, and conditional uses are allowed with a conditional use permit. So if I'm understanding your question, you're asking if, rather than making a liquor store a permitted use by right, could you make it a conditional use requiring another public hearing and another notification of the neighbors?
So to go through,
I guess my suggestion would be that'd be really messy and time consuming and, but yes, it could probably be done.
well, and I believe the liquor laws already allow for if there's an issue with the establishment and they get enough calls based on problems with the establishment, eventually that could create a problem with their liquor license.
Yes, but a lot of that is, if you sell to minors.
No, if you have disruptions at your establishment on a regular,
That's on the books, but I'd like to make it a conditional use permit. I'd like to make it a motion that we okay this on, with a conditional use permit, that the license, well, we're not talking about the
Sure.
license.
Commissioner Wingeter?
Oh, let's hear from the lawyer.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, a conditional use permit would be exceptionally messy in this case. And the reason is you're relying on an existing zoning district that has permitted uses and conditional use permitted uses that are permitted. But the restrictions come about in something outside that, in a subdivision agreement that has additional restrictions. That was a novel concept that we talked about earlier. So how you would make a conditional use permit work between the code documents and the subdivision agreements, I'm really not sure how you do that. Amending the subdivision agreement would be one way that you could sort of handle it like we did back in 2019. But trying to apply a conditional use when you have that outside subdivision agreement makes it incredibly messy and difficult to do.
Difficult to enforce.
So, Madam Chair, if I make a motion about conditional use permit, is it, it's up to the city.
Commissioner Wingeter, we already have a motion on the table.
Huh?
We already have a motion and a second on the table.
Okay, while the attorney was up there, I wanted to
Okay.
ask, whatever we do, it's actually up to the city council.
Yes, we're sending a recommendation to them.
So,
Yes, it's a recommendation to City Council.
That's correct.
okay,
It doesn't end here. It goes to city council and they make the final determination. We're sending a recommendation.
sure, I understand that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you. Any other questions on the commission? Well, we have a motion and a second. Do we should vote on that?
Just to clarify, we're talking about section 2.1 of the ordinance, or of the subdivision agreement only, and we're going to leave 2.2 intact. Is that correct?
That's correct. All in favor signify by saying, well, thumbs up or thumbs down.
With the exception of Commissioner Davis voting nay, all the other commissioners vote aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. So,
Madam Chair, just to explain to the folks that are here tonight, this will go on to the council probably in about 30 days. We have to go ahead and get it scheduled. And I would imagine the council would probably want the neighbors notified again.
yes,
So we will probably go ahead and notify the neighbors and get that on the schedule.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just a quick thing, if we could get Vickery back in and
Yes,
Mr.
we could give Vickery and
McIntosh was
Mr.
gonna be-
McIntosh would leave. Thank you.
My apologies.
Okay.
No, that's fine. Can I mention, for those that live in that area of Ward 3, I just want to let you guys know the council members to contact, if you wanted to contact the council members for your opinion, would be Ray Pacheco, Steve Frill, and Steve Cathy. You can find their emails or phone numbers, and if you're strongly against, I recommend you emailing them and talk to them.
That's a good point. And I would just mention also that they can call staff here at the city and we'll get them to the right place too.
Yes. Okay. And we lost Commissioner Davis.
I'm not sure he asked for
Oh, okay.
permission.
So we're going to take about, let's take a 5-minute recess so that,
Good idea.
yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Now that you're back and,
I know,
you
I
know,
just
take a
had-
rest here.
leaves the driveway open and available for customers, the off-street parking that's available on the site meets the city's minimum requirements for daycares. The Department of Family Services handles licensing, evaluates the adequacy of the area within the house and yard for play and other activities, and regulates the nature and quality of the care provided. Child cares are inspected by the City County Health Department and the City Fire Department regularly. Based on information provided by DFS, there's one other licensed home daycare and one commercial child care center or a preschool located within a half-mile of the subject property. Staff provided example motions, both to approve and deny at the end of your staff report, just for reference. Staff has included 4 recommended conditions of approval. Staff received 4 public comments, and I have 9 exhibits to enter. A is the conditional use application. B, map of the 300-foot notification zone. C, legal notice. D, notice of public hearing sent to property owners within 300 feet. E, public comment from 52 Dahlia. F, public comment from 74 Dahlia. G, public comment from 76 Honeysuckle. And H, public comment from 4095 East 8th Street. I would be the memo to the chairman and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Commissioners have any questions? I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of case number PLN 21-011C. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, the rules of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who address the commission to approach the lectern, identify yourself, and state your address. Would the person representing case number PLN 21-011C come forward and explain the application?
My name is Denise Steffens. I am the owner of Tender Hearts Learning Daycare. So basically the reason I want to expand on the daycare is that there is a need in the area for in-home care. I receive at least 1 to 2 calls a week from families who are requesting whether I have any openings, which I usually do not. I usually have to turn them away because, yeah, I'm at capacity. The families that I currently serve come from PV Mills. I have one from the east side who works on the west side. So, you know, they're looking for something small and more intimate settings versus the larger centers. My family's value that what I have to offer is a lot from comparable, I guess, to like a center. I'm a certified teacher in the state of Wyoming, licensed, and so I provide preschool curriculum within my daycare setting. So my parents value that I have that capabilities to be able to teach their children and have the credentials to do that as well in one place. They love that small environment. You know, I hear that from my parents all the time. They love the small environment. They love that their kids don't get lost in a big center, but they, I have it very much set up. Our entire upstairs is all devoted to the daycare. So we have, it set up that way with centers, with different activities and things of that nature. And, but there's still the love and the comfort and, in our environment. This expansion would open up about 5 more spots. My licensor has told me that based on the measurements inside and outside, that they would be able to increase my license to 13. So that would give me 5 more spots to open up to other families in the area as well. Currently I have myself and another part-time staff member that is capable and ready to go to full-time as soon as our numbers are above, I believe it's the 10. So anytime that I have more than 10 children in the home, then I have to have 2 full-time staff members with the children. So that isn't an issue. I already have that taken care of. Plus, I've been talking with another gal, a couple more actually, about the potential of bringing in another part-time person just to cover for like vacations or like if we go on a field trip. We frequently get out in our community, and the kids love to be able to go out to PD Park and walk there when the weather is nice, and we just like to do different things, nature walks, stuff like that, that the kids enjoy. So I would have that extra person for that as well. I also do have a substitute person currently, but she's in nursing school, so she's not always available very often, but I do have her when I need her as well. I have a really good rapport. We've been living in the neighborhood for 3 years. We have an excellent rapport with all of our neighbors, especially immediately around us. As you know, you've noticed in the letters that you got, 2 of those were in support of the daycare. One of them is directly across the street. He actually is our fire, where we go for our fire drills. We go into the front of his place. He loves seeing the little kids. It brings him a lot of joy. Plus we do different neat things like the holidays. We decorate our yard, and he loves seeing what we come up with and what the kids do in the yard, and they help with the flowers and things of that nature to, you know, keep our yard looking nice. A neighbor behind me has stated, you know, on multiple occasions that she loves having the kids' laughter in the neighborhood. So it's kind of nice to have so many little kids laughing all the time. As far as, you know that our driveway is big enough to accommodate 3 vehicles in tandem. We have my personal vehicle that's parked all the way up to the front of the driveway, and then there's enough room for 2 more parents to park in the driveway as well. Drop off and pickup times, my parents are quick. It's not very often that I have even 2 parents there at one time. They usually, you know, they're staggered throughout the day depending on their work schedules. So it's throughout the day that their drop off and pickup times are done. Currently, of the 8 children that I have, there's only 5 families because I have a couple of those children are multiples from one family. So currently there's 5 vehicles that come to our house. With this expansion, it would increase to a maximum if the other 5 children that I would bring into the center, or the daycare, sorry, it would bring, if they all had one individual child, it would increase it by 5 more. So there would be a maximum of 10 vehicles would be the worst case scenario in the neighborhood on a daily basis. Already talked about that. My families have not needed to park in front of my neighbors, although we've actually had a couple of the neighbors have already reached out to me on their own accord and offered in front of their places, that if parents needed to park in front of their place to drop off or pick up their children, that they were fine with that. We haven't needed to do that. My parents are always able to park in front of our place or in the driveway. So that hasn't been an issue. There's several routes in and out of my daycare. They can come from Paradise, they can come from Valley, they can go down Honeysuckle, the next street over, I can't think of it off the top of my head now, Magnolia or something like that. They can come down any of those streets, come across Plumeria. That way, I mean, there's not, the traffic congestion isn't one direction every single day. It's different ways that parents are able to come into the neighborhood. And you know, as you guys have stated, the health and fire department, they do yearly inspections of the home, as well as my licensor coming out, at least a minimum of twice a year, and does, inspections to make sure that everything is safe for kids and making sure that I have enough spacing for that many children. Are there any questions that you have for me?
Thank you. Does the commissioners have any questions?
Madam Chair, I have one. Ma'am, do you have the idea, and it's not all that important, but how many daycares are out there in the valley?
There are not very many. I think they had pointed out, like, within a half mile. I know there's only the two. There's the Christian school right down the road from us, and then I think there might be maybe two.
Two?
I'm not really sure exactly how many there are, but there's not very many.
Well, I know Paradise Valley is younger demographics, and I think, yeah.
Yeah, and it's growing considerably.
So I'm certainly going to support you when the time comes.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Commissioner Bates?
Did you get a chance, did you get a chance to read, the, information that Planning and Zoning puts out? And what I'm specifically talking about is it says, should the Planning and Zoning Commission vote to approve the request conditional use permit, staff recommends the inclusion of the following 4 conditions. Have you read those conditions? And if so, are you okay with those conditions that are set there?
I believe, I can't remember them off the top of my head. Can you refresh my memory?
The 2 parking spaces,
There's a 2 parking spaces.
the signage limitations.
Yep.
Yes, that it had to be like a 1 foot, flush goods house.
Right, and you have to live in the home.
Yep.
This is a secondary use of the home.
Yep.
If you move, then the childcare, this conditional use, it's gone. And then the last one is that, yes, if you move, you can't transfer it to another location, and nobody can come in and just automatically take this.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah, those are, yeah, we don't have any issues with that.
Okay, I just thought I'd double check
Perfect.
and ask
Yeah. and
Perfect.
ahead of time.
We had considered putting a sign, to,
One on a big pole that
It's
sits.
more like you walk in the back door in our office and the parents are greeted with, on our wall, we had a mural painted that just, announces what we are.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to double check make sure that you were aware of it and was okay with it.
Yeah, my husband and I have owned the house for 3 years now, or I guess it'll be 3 years in May that we purchased the home, and it was our dream house, and when we were looking for homes, that was actually our goal, was to find something that we could have, our personal space separate from the daycare, so everything upstairs, which is about 1,100 square foot, is all daycare, and then downstairs is our personal space, so we have like all of our personal belongings and everything down there. I joke now that I don't work in the school district anymore and I don't leave to go to work, I go downstairs and I'm able to leave work, there upstairs, so it is kind of nice.
Okay, awesome, thank you for answering
Thank
that.
you.
I think that's it.
All right, thank you.
As required by state law, we have to invite people to comment in favor of or in opposition to all public hearings. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to come forward and to comment in favor of PLN 21-011-C? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to case PLN 21-011-C? There being no others to speak for or against this case, I now declare the public hearing closed. And entertain a motion to approve, deny, or table case PLN-21-011C.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Wingeter.
Okay. I note that the Planning Commission and Zoning Commission has considered all relevant factors, including not limited to those set forth by the Casper Municipal Code, Section 171224H, and find that the conditional use permit meets the two findings of required by the municipal code section of 17-12-24-0G. On this basis, I move for the approval of PLN 21-011C-C and the four conditions set by the city staff.
Thank you, Commissioner Winger. We have a second?
I'll second that.
We already have we have a second.
That's a long motion.
All in favor signify with a thumbs up, and opposed, thumbs down.
With all members of the commission voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. I guess we can bring in Commissioner McIntosh.
I was gonna say, do you want me to send them in?
Yes, send him in, please. No more slacking off for him.
Nice job on that motion, Terry.
It's a mouthful.
Way to go.
Now, I suppose you expect me to do it every night.
Exactly like that, exactly.
It's so easy to say, I make a motion and it passes. But I understand.
We have to have the conditions in there, and
I want a computer-operated voice where I can just put in the numbers and just push play and it, I approve.
I approve. Make a motion to approve.
Yeah, it's just robotic. It works.
the next case this evening, PLN 21-007-R is a replat creating Mountain Plaza Pathway Edition consisting of a vacation and replat of Tract A, Mountain Plaza Edition Number 2, a portion of Lot 4, Mountain Plaza Edition, and a portion of Lot 6, Mountain Plaza Edition Number 4. The applicant is the city of Casper. Do we have a staff report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The city of Casper is the applicant for the proposed vacation and replat creating the Mountain Plaza Pathway Edition. The purpose of the replat is to create an independent lot for the construction of a pedestrian pathway that will ultimately connect to Murad Park on the north side of CY Avenue. The adjacent property owners transferred ownership for the subject property to the city with the understanding that they would be relieved of all legal liability on the property. The subdivision/lot has frontage on CY Avenue and meets all minimum access and size requirements of the municipal code. Staff has not included any recommended conditions. We didn't receive any comments, and I have 6 exhibits. A is the replat application. B, vicinity map. C, copy of the plat. D, legal notice sent to the Star Tribune. E, notice of public hearing sent to property owners within 300 feet. And F, memo to the chairperson and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And that concludes staff's report, and I would also act as the applicant if you have any questions for the applicant.
Madam Chair, is the city planning eventually to go under the interstate to Murad Park?
I don't know the exact alignment. I believe that they're going to use the light as a signal cross for pedestrians, but I don't think that we're going to do an underpass or an overpass because of cost reasons, I believe.
Signal cross on that highway?
Yes.
That is a busy highway.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Like, well, the reason I'm a dog owner, and Murad Park is used, you know, that loop around there, that mile loop, and my dog actually ran out there on the highway and got hit by a car. Now, it didn't kill him, it just broke his leg, thank God. But I'm just saying, I would hate for the city to encourage open traffic from the shopping center to that.
It's foot traffic, Terry.
But still, the dogs, you still have to have an opening at Murad Park. The dogs can just run up there and run out on the highway.
What they're trying to do is make that neighborhood more walkable for people who live in that neighborhood that want to walk with their dogs to Murad Park instead of having to drive to Murad Park. And I know that being in that neighborhood, I would really like to be able to walk to Murad Park without having to go through the CY and Wyoming Boulevard and then having to walk along where there's no sidewalk till I get to the entry to Murad Park. The only way, and that's what they're trying to do. So I think there's probably gonna, we don't know what they're gonna actually do right now. This is just to get that property set aside so they can do this.
And but I just want to bring that point out. I've talked to a lot of dog owners over the years about the highway and dogs running out there on the highway and all that. Now, I know it's not officially a dog park.
It is though.
No, it's not. For the parkway, it's not officially known as a dog park, but everybody uses it as a dog park. The only dog park officially in town is the one out by the landfills.
I'm not sure the status, and maybe former Councilman Bates can enlighten us on I think the dog ordinance, the leash ordinance is in effect regardless. I believe you have to have your animals under control. Hopefully that would mean a leash or electronic means or some way to keep them safe.
Well, part of the park is dog where you do not have to have them on a leash, but then once you go to a certain spot, it says on the cement, and it is in the law that you have to have them leash. So my assumption, and everybody knows what comes with assumption, but my assumption is going from up by Walmart area, cross CY, down into it, it is going to be required for your dog to be on a leash. Then once you pass that certain point, you will be allowed to have your dog off leash. As far as everything that I've been told, we have 3 off-leash dog parks. Murad, the one by the duck ponds, and then the one by the Tate Pump has a little fenced-in area that dogs can be, and they're looking at the 4th one clear out on the east side. So I do believe that you'd be able to walk your dog down on leash, but once you get to that certain point, you're going to be able to, it's unleashed.
And I understand that. And I'm certainly, I'll support it, but I'm just saying, I'm just worried about the open area when when they start walking across the street. And is there going to be a gate there? No one knows. No one
Well,
knows.
Terry, right now, there's an open area when you pull in. When you come into Murad Park, when you're driving in, and dogs have been known to run out onto Wyoming Boulevard and get hit there. So there's,
Mine ran out the other road.
well, and they can run out onto Wyoming Boulevard too. So, dogs are unpredictable, so wouldn't we like to be able to say no? Kids are unpredictable too, so. I know, you probably didn't know that, did you?
I have 3 teenage daughters, and now you're telling me?
Okay. So I guess that you've explained the application, so as required by law, we have to invite people to comment in favor of or in opposition to all public hearings. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of case PLN 021-007R? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to PLN 21-007-R? There being no others to speak for or against this case, I now declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion to approve and forward a due pass recommendation to the City Council, deny or table case PLN 21-007-R, the replat.
So moved.
Thank you. There we have it. We have a motion and a second to approve. And all in favor signify.
Yeah, we can still, it's time for.
Oh, yeah, we want to have a discussion, more discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say I'd feel better if there was a overhead or a tunnel or something like that.
You know, Terry, if you wanted to raise the money for that, we would, I'm sure they would be more than happy to provide that. So if we want to add that into the motion,
You have no idea how many dog owners there are in this town.
oh, I do know. Just about everybody in my neighborhood and in your neighborhood, and, yes. Yes, I know that's why we have the park, so. Any other discussion? All in favor or opposed, signify.
With the exception of Commissioner Wingeter, who voted nay, all other commissioners voted aye, motion passes.
The next case this evening is a replat creating the Park School Edition consisting of a vacation and replat of Block 33, lots 1 through 10 inclusive, including the alley of Park Edition and the vacated portion of West 8th Street. The applicant is the Natrona County School District Number 1. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Natrona County School District Number 1 is the applicant for the proposed vacation and replat creating the Park School Edition. The subject property is the location of Park Elementary School and encompasses 2.5 acres more or less. The purpose of the replat is to consolidate multiple platted lots, an alley, and a vacated portion of East 8th Street into a single lot. Although the school is built on top of the alley, there are no existing records to show that the alley was ever vacated. Staff has included a single recommended condition of approval that requires the applicant to provide signed, executed easement releases from all utility companies prior to City Council consideration of the replat. In addition, the approval signature block is not in the correct format for city approvals and will need to be corrected prior to finalizing the plat. As I mentioned, staff has included one condition. We received no written comments. We did receive phone calls inquiring as what was going on, but nobody felt strongly enough to write in. And I have 6 exhibits to enter. A, replat application. B, vicinity map of the 300-foot notification zone. C, copy of the plat. D, legal notice. E, notice of public hearing sent to property owners. And F, memo to the chairperson and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I now declare the public hearing open. Oh, do we have any questions for staff? I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of case number PLN 21-008R. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, the rules of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who address the commission to approach the lectern, identify yourself, and state your address. Would the person representing case number PLN 21-008R come forward and explain the application?
Good evening, Madam
Good evening.
Chair, fellow commissioners. My name is Carter Britt. I work for ECS Engineers at 111 West 2nd Street. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, which would be Natrona County School District. So as Mr. Collins had stated kind of the purpose of this replat is to, in layman's terms, kind of clean up the plat of this area. I believe it's 10 blocks and an alleyway, and Park School used to be located on one portion, on 5 blocks basically. It was then built across the alley with an addition, I believe in the 50s or so. And the alley was never formally vacated. That portion of 8th Street has been formally vacated. That would be a portion of this plat. So we're currently in the process of getting signatures to formally vacate that alley. As of now, I've got 2 signatures from utility stakeholders. I think I need 6 more maybe. And those will filter in the coming days, hopefully. And that would be required before this goes to council, obviously. Mr. Collins also noted that the signature block, that was also another condition that needed to be corrected. To my knowledge, that has been corrected. It just hasn't been formally submitted to the city for their review yet either. I'm here for any questions about this process as well.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Okay,
Thank you. As required by state law, we have to invite people to comment in favor of or in opposition to all public hearings. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of case PLN 21-008-R? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to case PLN-21-008-R? There being no others to speak for or against this case, I now declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion to approve and forward a do pass recommendation to the City Council with the one condition: deny or table case number PLN-21-008R, the replat.
Can I say move to approve
With the one
with
condition?
the one condition?
You can. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Do I have to repeat it exactly?
Okay, we have a second. Now we have discussion. Anybody want to discuss this? All in favor of the motion signify. Opposed, thumbs down. In favor, thumbs up.
All members voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. The next case this evening, PLN 21-009R, a replat creating Harmony Hills Edition Number 3, consisting of a vacation and replat of lots 1 through 27, Block 7, lots 1 through 14, Block 8, tracks 4 and 5, and portions of Walnut Street and Harmony Road, Harmony Hills Edition Number 2, Phase 1. Applicant is Harmony Development LLC. Could we get the staff report, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Harmony Development LLC has applied for a vacation and replat creating the Harmony Hills Edition Number 3. The subject property is zoned R2, 1-unit residential, and is a platted but undeveloped residential subdivision located generally north of Goodstein Drive and south of Wyoming Boulevard. The purpose of the vacation and replat is to vacate the platted lots, blocks, and streets in the area and to return the area to a single tract. The impetus for the request is the recent increase in property taxes, and as a single tract, the property owner will save significant carrying costs for the property. The applicant has provided easement releases for all formerly platted right-of-ways that are being vacated and is providing temporary turnaround easements at the dead ends of both South Walnut Street and Harmony Road. Staff has not included any conditions, recommended conditions. We have not received any formal comments, and I have 6 exhibits to enter. A is the replat application, B, vicinity map, C, copy of the plat, D, legal notice, E, notice of public hearing sent to property owners, and F, memo to the chairperson and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Concludes staff's report.
Thank you. I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of case number PLN 21-009R. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, the rules of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who address the commission to approach the lectern, identify yourself, and state your address. Would the person representing case number PLN 21-009R come forward and explain the application?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commission members. My name is Lisa Burridge, 421 South Center, Suite 101, here representing Harmony Development. This plat was recorded a number of years ago as a portion of some development that's already been completed. The problem with this development is it never took off like we thought it would, and so we wanted to get rid of this plat, abandon this plat. So doing this into one single tract will do a number of different things. First of all, this platted piece of property currently is for sale and has been for sale, but the people that have considered it have not wanted it in the platted status that it is. That's one reason for abandoning the plat. And the second one, as Mr. Collins mentioned, is property taxes. And actually, we are encouraged by Natrona County assessor, because of the ways that the lots are now being assessed. The amount of taxes that one pays on an assessed lot that's not developed, has no infrastructure, no streets or anything, is almost as much as it is if it's developed. And so the taxes for the lots were just getting to the point where we couldn't really sustain the development any longer. So that's the reason that we're asking for this vacation of this plat, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
The commissioners have any questions? No, thank you.
Thank you.
As required by state law, we have to invite people to comment in favor of or in opposition to all public hearings. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of case PLN 21-009R? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to case PLN 21-009R? There being no others to speak for or against this case, I now declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion to approve and forward a due pass recommendation to the City Council, deny or table case PLN 21-009R, the replat.
So move, Your Honor.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Wingeter. Any discussion? Please cast your vote.
With all members voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. The final case this evening, PLN 21-010R, a replat creating Kensington Heights Edition Number 3, consisting of a vacation and replat of Tract A, Kensington Heights Edition Number 1. The applicant is Kensington Heights Development, LLC. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kensington Heights Development LLC has applied for a vacation and replat creating Kensington Heights Edition Number 3. The subject property is zoned R2, 1-unit residential, and was originally part of the Centennial Hills Village planned unit development. In the spring of 2020, both the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council approved a rezone of 53 acres in the former PUD, including the subject area now under consideration to R2, 1-unit residential. The proposed subdivision, Kensington Heights Number 3, is creating 25 new single-family residential lots along the north side of Country Club Road as part of the developer's phased build-out of the area. All proposed lots exceed the city's minimum lot size requirement of 4,000 square feet. Multiple points of access to the area have been provided for public safety and utility redundancy. Staff has not recommended any conditions with this replat. We've not received any neighborhood comments, and I have 6 exhibits. A is the replat application. B, vicinity map. C, copy of the plat. D, legal notice sent to the Star Tribune. E, notice of public hearing sent to property owners. And F, memo to the chairperson and members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. That concludes my report.
I now declare the public hearing open for consideration of case number PLN 21-010-R. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, the rules of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals who address the commission to approach the lectern, identify yourself, and state your address. Would the person representing case number PLN 21-010R come forward and explain the application?
Good evening. Again, this is Lisa Burridge here with Kensington Development, 421 South Center, Suite 101. I think Mr. Collins explained the next plat fairly succinctly, but this is our desire is to move on with the second phase of Kensington Heights. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do the commissioners have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
As required by state law, we have to invite people to comment in favor of or in opposition to all public hearings. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of case PLN 21-010R? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in opposition to case PLN 21-010-R? There being no others to speak for or against this case, I now declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion to approve and forward a due pass recommendation to the City Council, deny or table case number PLN 21-010R, the replat.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Pass, do pass.
I'll second.
Okay. Commissioner Wingeter made the motion and Commissioner Feth made the second. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, I was just going to say it's a beautiful area. I've seen the streets that are now in. Of course, you can't see them now with all the snow, but it looks like it's going to be a beautiful area. So, well done.
Please cast your vote.
With all members voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. This concludes our public hearings for this evening. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to discuss anything further, please come forward at this time. Do we have any communications from the commission?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Wingeter.
I just want it to be known, I'm not just interested in the dogs. I'm also interested in the pedestrians.
Oh, I thought you were talking about cats now, too.
But I mean, the pedestrians, I mean, I just can't see them walking across CY at 4:30 in the evening. You know how crowded that place, going out to Paradise Valley and all those places? I just would hope, it might be several years from now, but I would just hope when the time comes that the city is doing well enough, or YDOT, since that's a state highway, to put either a overpass of some kind over there. So I'd hate to see pedestrians just walking at 4:30 or 8:30 in the morning, or 7:30 in the morning across CY. I don't know, does anybody here live out in Paradise Valley, west of town?
Uh-huh.
You know how busy that gets. It's Colfax Avenue.
I do, but however, like my family and I decided to take our bikes on the path and
Sure.
went on up to McDonald's to go eat. However, the only way to really get to that is we had to cross over by the Game and Fish, go up the hill there, take our bikes across CY there, go down CY to get to by Walmart, take our bikes up Walmart, the
Sure.
swing up there, to go through to get to McDonald's to go have a bite, which defeats the purpose of going out and exercising, right? But anyways. But to be able to go, continue on the bike path and be able to go up to where the light is, push the button, wait for the light to change, have all traffic stop and be able to cross that and then be able to go on the bike path or walking path onto that direction would be 10 times safer, because you see people either taking their bikes up Wyoming Boulevard, riding the road right there, getting to the light and going on southbound, or they're doing what I'm doing, which I think is 10 times more unsafe than putting that all in. I think that is gonna be 10 times safer.
I think that's
for
an
the
excellent
community.
point. That it's not just about the dogs.
No, I mean.
Well, that's what I want
There are a
to
number
be
of
said.
people walking across there already, like, in that area
Yes,
already. There's
uh-huh.
a lot of people that are.
And there are some lights there right now to go up into the Walmart parking lot. There's two lights
Yeah,
there.
there's the lights.
Yes.
So I
So-
agree with you. A bridge would be so much nicer, or underpath would be nicer, but financially,
Well,
I
I
think it would
understand the
be a
finances.
bad.
But it's still
would be
something
bad.
that could happen in the,
Yeah.
long in the future.
Well, I was active on the east side when they put the bypass over, and I know it's very expensive. I understand that, but a bypass is needed.
What did the one on Vertizine
Down the
for?
future.
That's a state highway, so didn't the highway department, the one on Verta James,
Wyoming Boulevard and Vertical.
Wyoming Boulevard and Verta James, that.
Wyoming Boulevard is a state highway, but I seem to remember a recent conversation where the city was going to be paying for the overpass reconstruction, but I don't know the details of that.
Also, they're gonna reconstruct that one.
I was active when the city ended up paying for that.
Yeah.
The one on the east side, long time ago.
It's not cheap. I mean, ideally, that would be over every major
I understand
obstruction.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, from PV, I live on Indian Paintbrush, and we follow the bike path to have one to go up after a good exercise, go get me a giant milkshake with a Big Mac, along with my Coke and fries. Oh, wait a minute, I don't do the Coke because I'm too white. But anyways, whew, that was a bad one. wasn't it?
That was a really bad
I'm
one.
sorry. So anyways, to truly have that path would be safer for families.
I want everybody to use Murad Park. It's a beautiful park. But I just want them to be safe when they get there, or getting there.
Yep.
So, at this time, the chair would call for communications from our community development director, but she's not here, so I guess we won't do that. And from the council liaison, any communications? How was your trip to the south of the border?
It was wonderful, thank you for asking.
That this time the chair calls for any other communications? Were you going to give a,
Yeah, the old Yellowstone, District Historic, met, oh my goodness, last month. And, there will be minutes that'll be circulated, but just as a brief update, it was a lot of new members, election of new officers. I'm the vice chair. And, just discussion of some really exciting projects for the old Yellowstone District. And so, I think there'll be some exciting things that'll come up in the next couple of months for us to review, so.
and I attended the Historic Preservation Commission, and there was some, I think the thing that I found the most interesting were the ghost signs. Because I'd never really thought about that, but those are all the signs painted on the sides of buildings that are no longer pertain to that building per se. Although the Lou Talbert's sign, they listed as a ghost sign, and Lou Talbert's is still there, so I don't know if that was, does that really qualify as a ghost sign?
There's a very loose definition.
Oh, yes, because there were some signs that were not painted on the side of the building, but actually standing by themselves that were considered ghost signs, and I thought, well, anyway. So that was very interesting, and there's a lot of things that are going on in the Historic Preservation Commission that I will become more familiar with as we go through the year, so.
Can I ask a question about that?
You certainly can.
Fantastic, because I was on the board and I loved being on that board and learning more in depth about Casper. And as I said, being on these different boards have opened my eyes to so much more about Casper and learned more that most average student or citizen just don't ever get to take the chance to learn. So, but the question I have is, I guess, the black or colored historical part of it, has there...
We had some discussion on that, and I don't think there was, they have is it correct, they have a grant or some money to?
Yes, we have a grant to do the survey of African-American buildings and cultural sites. $11,000 budget is what we're working with, and we're in the process of finding a consultant to help us with that right now.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome. I'm excited for it, sorry.
Yep.
To
learn more.
So interesting.
I had fun driving around town with my granddaughter, showing her the different ghost signs as we were right in the downtown area. And one that I didn't see on the presentation was the Oil City Printers one up there on Yellowstone and Park.
Madam Chair, I have one other thing,
Yes.
if I may. There's been, over the years, there's been so much emphasis on the old Yellowstone district, and they have done a tremendous job. And I understand they're going to do more in the future. But I noticed Lou Talbert, that one building that was on fire here a couple of years ago, and they just took off, it's been under construction, and they just took off the screening. And he did a tremendous job. It's got a little balcony on it and all that. And I think we should, and then, recognize the ones that do, in other parts of the city, that do a good job. And that little coffee shop on 12th and Fenway.
Where the old mini mart used to be.
Yeah. Have you been by there lately?
Oh, quite often, yes.
Well, it's kind of unusual.
It's a very unusual construction, and it's pleasing aesthetically.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I just think when a contractors in other places, a Casper, when they do something, I think they should be recognized, somehow, some way. Rather, it's a little certificate or something. Maybe it's not up to us. Maybe it's up to the city council. Just an idea.
Well, Madam Chair, I don't think it has to be up to the city council. I think Terry's point is well taken. In the old Yellowstone district, we do the old Yellowstone
awards.
District award ceremony every year and kind of recognize good things that have happened. And I think we have Keep Casper Beautiful and things like that that could reach out and put a sign in somebody's yard and say, this is you did a nice job here, or the planning commission could even recognize people and we could reach out and have them come in and get a certificate or.
I think that would be an exceptionally good idea.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of neat stuff that's happening out there that
Encourage
doesn't
that
get
kind of
recognized just because it's not in that old Yellowstone district where we already have a formal process for that. So I think it's a good idea.
So could we start a process of getting a committee together or something like that?
We could. Would you like to chair the committee?
Yeah, I get around town.
I think you'd be great. You could go talk to the people about it and then,
Oh, no, I'm serious about
I'm serious about it.
Oh, my goodness.
Somebody's got to start something on this.
That's right. I agree.
So, okay.
So if you want to come up with some ideas and then we'll float those
Casper doesn't
ideas.
have a beautification committee, does it?
We have Keep Casper Beautiful, it's a section of the city that, I don't know what kind of resources they have, but we could work together with that.
So you could
Maybe
talk
we
to
could-
them about, yeah.
It sounds like a good training session to me. We could get Keep Casper Beautiful to come in and we could talk about setting this program up and.
I think that
maybe
would be great.
get a little work session.
Yeah. So we could do that at our next training session, Terry. Great idea.
But I'd like to get her done. I mean, I think we all
Okay.
like that.
It's hard for everybody to admit you had a good idea, Terry.
I don't get many compliments. So I really appreciate it.
So just soak it
We
up.
have a beauty communication commission. Do we still have that?
A what?
No? Beauty communication for Casper?
Just the Keep
Well,
Casper
it's,
Beautiful.
went down the wayside then. There used to be one for that.
I believe they used to do trees for trash and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that could be done.
The Casper Kiwanis Club used to do trees for trash.
Uh-huh.
And that was a good, I don't know why we dropped that, but we used to do it in conjunction with Pizza Hut. They bought the trees and were you active in the Kiwanis?
No, I was not active in the Kiwanis at that time.
Well, we planted a couple trees, matter of fact, and they're 8 foot tall now. And we got them as little, they were about this big when we got them.
Supposed to do that on Arbor Day.
Yes, that's when it was done.
That's when we're supposed to do that.
That's when it was done. Yes, I remember that. We used to go take a lot of trash out and then go, oh, we forgot to get our trees, so we'd grab more trash. So there being no further business to conduct, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So do that.
I'll
We
second.
we have a motion, okay.
Third.
Cast your vote. Okay,
Voting aye, we're adjourned.
thank goodness everybody voted.